Hello and welcome back to Guitarist, the channel where, as the name suggests, me and this guitar have become fused. Guitar ends where Reese begins, and here we both are. This is a video that I've wanted to make for a long time. It's about arpeggios. And I think arpeggios are probably one of the most important things you can learn on guitar. One of the most important things you can learn on any instrument, really. So if you're new here, go ahead and like and subscribe the video. It means a lot to me. It really helps grow the channel. And if you're old here, welcome back. Welcome back, you strangers. And go ahead and drop a like and a comment. I appreciate you. So if notes and scales are letters, then triads are words, right? And then chord progressions then are sentences. Right? Then arpeggios are complicated sentences that can be used to convey ideas, express meaning, and in my opinion, they're the source of what makes music sound musical rather than just a set of notes. I'll give you a quick example. Here's a scale set of notes, right? So they've got, they all sound like notes. They're not without any meaning, but here's an arpeggio. Okay, and here's another one. So arpeggios, or the arpeggiation of chords, is just playing the notes of a chord one at a time, in succession. So the question for me is, what makes a sentence more than just a set of its words, right? It's its meaning, it's what the words mean, and it's the configuration of those words and the combination of those words in a sentence that lead to its meaning. And consider the words cat and the words shop. Well, this can be a shop where you buy a cat, or this can be taking your cat to the shop, right? Two words in a different order, with some words in between that have very different meanings. So arpeggios can be thought of like this, I would say. Just like chord progressions, right? Like you can play these three chords this way, or you can play those chords another way. You can go. So in the same way, arpeggios, as a set of notes of their chords, can be even more complex and precise, because you can duck in and out of different chords, and you can use them to interweave with one another, so you can really say some complicated, meaningful things. So really quick, I want to make it clear what I'm referring to, okay? So I'm going to be using the key of G, or E minor, for this entire video. I want to show you how each of the different chords carries its own flavor in this key, right? So if I'm just playing a set of notes in a scale, even if I try and make them a little funky, but it's a set of notes, whereas when you are playing arpeggios, as you change between the sets of notes for each chord, it's like the theme of the chord comes with it. And I'll give you an example. So here's a G arpeggio, and then I'll do a C arpeggio, okay? And see if you can hear the tonal difference, right? So although it's a set of notes, you can hear the chord in the combination of the set of notes. Or you can go up and down them, right? Like. So you hear on the way up is G. And then C. So G. And C. And so even though an arpeggio is made up of a triad, in this case a triad with a seventh note, when you're using arpeggios, in my mind, you can hear the flavor of the chord with the arpeggio. In that way, you can combine them, weave them, switch them back and forwards to make some very complicated sentences. And this I'm going to show you how to do in this video. So arpeggios can be many things. They can even just be this kind of a slow chord. Like you don't have to be moving your fingers and playing a shape for it to be an arpeggio, right? They can be a sweep. It's an arpeggio. They can be these lengthy arpeggios. I feel like I always see lengthy arpeggios in the end of a song, right? Like. as some of you see it, and I feel like I see a lot of people doing the sweeping arpeggios become so popular. But although memorizing scales can put you in a bit of a box, in my opinion, and they're very, very useful, but I would say only as extensions to chords and arpeggios. Arpeggios are what really frees up the neck and is really going to get you able to visualize the chords all over the neck. So very, very useful. But they are harder to memorize. They are the great mystery. But there's a way to break arpeggios down into smaller parts that I think can be very, very useful for songwriting. Okay. I'm going to do this with pictures on the screen, and I'm going to do it fast and slow. But first, what I want to do is just show you a song made of 4 arpeggios from the key of G, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay? So you see, so you can mix together a bunch of arpeggios to make a song. Okay. So we're going to get into some common forms and some good ways to practice them, all right? And the most interesting thing about arpeggios, I think, is that it's the same shapes for all major chords and it's the same shapes for all minor chords. So once you know them and once you know how they go across the neck, you can repeat them quite easily. You can practice them quite easily and figure them out quite easily. The shapes are going to change when you have extensions. And you might notice that I'm using a 4-note pattern and chords only have 3 notes, right? So an actual G triad is just... But what I'm doing when I practice arpeggios is I'm putting in the 7th note of the scale behind them. And the reason for that, not only does it sound cool, and even out the notes into 4 notes that you can do, but in my mind, if I'm practicing with a note that isn't part of the main arpeggio, it means that I'm able to transition into an arpeggio out of a scale quite easily. So you can be doing a scale. Because sometimes you can get into a habit of practicing something quite purely, right, like the shape of a chord, and then it's hard to think about how you can switch from the middle of your songwriting into that chord, or if you're trying to do a solo or something, how do you switch into that chord? But if you practice with notes that transition out of scales, and 7th notes are just so common and so complementary, then you get quite used to slipping in and out of arpeggios quite easily. Okay, so we're going to start with, we'll do a major chord, and I'll show you a bunch of arpeggio shapes, and we'll do a minor chord, and then I'll show you how you can go about practicing them to get them memorized and to get them stuck in your head. Okay, so in this case we're going to use G major 7, and we're going to use A minor 7, okay? So G major 7 is going to be these 4 notes. And A minor 7 is going to be... Okay. And I'll put these pictures on screen as I go. So the first pattern is going to be a whole neck pattern. And I want to say you would quite rarely use a whole neck pattern unless you're really making a point of using the chord, right? Because who just goes up and down the width of a neck with a chord? Often you're doing things in a particular place. And that's the other thing, by the way. Because the arpeggios repeat all over the neck, this means you can play chords all over the neck. And I'll show you what I mean as I go. Okay, so we're going to start with G major. So the first whole neck form looks like this. And you can do this with any major 7 chord. Here's G, and here's the 7th note of the scale before it. So. Okay. And so fast, that sounds like this. Sounds beautiful on its own, doesn't it? So you want to be able to go up and down that quite easily, because if you're switching to C, for example, literally the same pattern but up here. Okay, second form of this is going to be like this, across the neck. That's G major 7 repeating, right? So you got one here, and then you got one here, and then So you could be doing C chord down here. Right, but you want to be able to switch in and out of it. Okay, so the way you can practice it up and down too is to go from the top to the middle, and then like from the top to the middle to the bottom, and then from the bottom to the middle, and then from the middle to the top, and so. Because you want to be able to play it without having to go from top to bottom each time, so you can just jump it in. Also, by the way, this is a great tool for memorizing the neck. All right. The next form of major is one of the cage shapes, but this is quite extended. And again, though, you want to do it in parts, right? And those high patterns are really good, and I'll show you a couple down there as well. Okay, so that's going across the neck. And then what's interesting is now we come into a D shape over here. This is how they connect. So you can go full circle on it, right? Like, when I think about it, I think about it more like a diagonal. Right? But what that means now is you're playing G up here with that shape. And that actually brings us to the sweepable shape of a major chord, which I think that, well, it's my favorite anyway, is the little D shape down here. Okay, and then a final way to practice this on the bottom that I really like to do and that's what you want to do too, is you want to start from the bottom and go up to the middle and then back down. And just like a ladder, right? Like one rung at a time, because you want to be able to jump into these from anywhere. So from the bottom to the middle, from the bottom to the top. So that's major chord. That's G major 7 in various positions. And now we're going to do a minor chord. And then we're gonna start mixing them. Here's A minor. We'll do A minor in the same way. So A minor 7. If you wanted to trail into it, you come from down here. Okay. Good news again. The same thing is that you can travel it. To the bottom. And again, top to bottom, middle to bottom, top to middle, bottom to middle. Okay. So how they connect to its second pattern is over here. A minor's up here. That's a good sweeping pattern, that one. But usually you'll see people sweeping that first A minor pattern, right? And that's just to go. But I think there's a better sweeping pattern for A minor, and I'll show you. So if you build into A minor at the bottom, it's the D minor shape that I'm talking about. But we'll use A minor here. So here's a good one to practice from the bottom. And the more you practice these and the more positions, the more they'll just imprint on your mind. As an example, here's a descending run. So this is C, right? C, B minor, A minor, and then G. All right. Now we need some middle string examples. C pattern on the second string. So starting down here. Or you can go across. Given that this is where C is played, but in the same shape as that first G, right? You can think about the G chord coming in behind it on the ribbon of the neck, just like C is here. Rotating up and down. Because here's G in the same shape. That's one I use a lot. Okay. So, we need a minor shape coming in from the second string. Good. We'll do B minor down here. So, similar thing. And then you can connect it in the same way to B minor shape, which is up here. So. And then right, so then you've got B minor completely over the neck there. And back around. Okay, so the way to practice them, like I say, you can go top to bottom. They're quite cool. You can actually just make a song out of those, right? All these forms. So the final thing I want to show you then is making some songs out of arpeggios, which is just what I love to do. It's just what I've been doing a lot of the moment. And what I'm going to show you is I'm going to pick 4 arpeggios and I'll put them together in a song, and I'm going to mix them in with some scale notes to try and make a bit of a tune. Okay, so we're going to do C, G, A minor, and E minor. Okay, let's see if I can stick to those as we go to. There might be some extras in there, but see if you can spot the arpeggios. But I'll keep them all as note arpeggios with little scale runs in the middle, right? And you get the idea, by the time you're doing different versions on different strings at different times, you've got like an infinite amount of options with these. Alright, so if you enjoyed this, go ahead and like and subscribe, and feel free to ask any questions in the comments. I always reply. And if there's another topic you want me to see make a video out of, just let me know. But there's more coming in the future anyway. Alright, thank you very much. Bye!